Melania, Donald Trump's dark past, it's resurfacing in ways it's his worst nightmare. So I think we should explore, how did Donald Trump meet Melania on or around the same time he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? We should build a timeline here. You see, Donald Trump went to a club in Manhattan called the KitKat Club, where there were parties that were frequently thrown for very rich Manhattan elites, businessmen, to mingle and find very young models from Eastern Europe. And Melania was a model from Eastern Europe who was brought to the United States, who would attend these parties where the rich men would show up and mingle with the models. So right now, Russia, it's weaponizing Melania's past. I don't know if you know this, but on Russian TV, they frequently show Melania nude in order to mock Donald Trump. So they show all these photos of Melania. By the way, Melania's previously made posts about how proud she is of her nudes. But did you know that after Donald Trump and Melania met, she got what was called an Einstein visa? She was treated like a genius, an exceptional achievement visa that gave her a fast track to become a United States citizen. She then used her citizenship to bring in her family members, a policy that Donald Trump is blocking, and that Donald Trump would send people like that, I guess if their skin color was brown or black, to concentration camps in the Everglades called Alligator Alcatraz. Let's dig through this timeline, shall we? So what was Donald Trump doing in 1997, the year before he meets Melania? Well, in 1997, he's out there partying with Epstein and Ghislaine. This is from the London Sunday Mirror. This is 1997. How sweet. Trump's Brit of all right. Just weeks after ditching his second wife, America's best-known billionaire Donald Trump has fallen under the spell of a 20-year-old English girl. This was before Melania, okay? This is 1997. Trump 50, who has failed in his bid to secure the services of Princess Diana's butler, Paul Burrell, was in search of another British trophy when he met London model Anushka DeGiorgio at a party in Manhattan. Several American millionaires already had their eyes on Anushka, but she was there with Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine, who has introduced several of her attractive friends to the property developer, and none of his would-be rivals owned a vast mansion in Florida like Donald does. Mar-a-Lago, where I have dined with him, the author writes, is enough to make any young girl go weak at the knees. After their meeting, Trump flew Madame Maxwell, they called her a madam, Madame Maxwell, and the model south to the Sunshine State, where all three enjoyed a happy weekend together. When they returned to New York, Anushka was installed in one of Donald's many apartments there. Miss DeGiorgia likes older men. She went out once or twice with this other person. Doubtless it is the start of a long, and by Trump's standards, it already is, friendship. So that's what was happening there. So Donald Trump's out there doing that. And then Donald Trump's out there going to these parties at the KitKat Club to meet. This is separate than what I just said. This is separate. He's just going out there to meet, these young models. So Donald Trump goes to the KitKat Club, and let's just see the story as reported by the New York Times about how Donald and Melania met at the KitKat Club. They were linked by someone named Paolo Zampoli, who's become an ambassador under Donald Trump, a high-ranking government official. And here's how New York Times describes what went down. When Donald met Melania, Paolo was there. And the article goes on to say how Paolo secured Miss Trump's visa to the United States and introduced her to her future husband at a 1998 party he hosted at the KitKat Club. Mr. Zampoli's parties have featured an alligator, tiger cubs, and models at nightclubs blowing kisses at fashion television cameras. So Donald Trump meets Melania at the KitKat Club, and then they develop a relationship with each other. And then let's talk about what happened. How Melania arrived in the United States from Slovenia in 1996 for modeling work. And then she obtained her green card around 2001 based on her extraordinary ability as a model, secured by Paolo Zampoli, who led the modeling agency. Now, Zampoli later transitions from a modeling agency guy into real estate deals, and then he used the models in order to build his real estate fortune. Here was Paolo Zampoli in a BBC interview. This was like about 20 years ago or more. Here's how he created a real estate company using the models as the real estate agents. Here, play this clip.
The new issue of living with Mr. Trump on the cover.
Merging modelling and high-end property is the idea of Italian entrepreneur Paolo Zampoli, a friend of the New York tycoon Donald Trump. Several of his top models have a foot in both camps.
But they're really not that different, actually, because for both professions, you need to have incredible networking skills. So that's the basis for modeling and as well as for real estate. So if you combine the two industries, you're left with the same Rolodex. You just go through your Rolodex and sell houses that way.
It's more attractive to me because it's you get to meet a lot of people, and it's more consistent than the acting business would be.
Less precarious.
Yes.
So while we're talking about all this, I want to make sure we keep talking about the climate as well. Just because the Republicans passed their big disastrous budget bill doesn't mean we stop talking about it. If anything, we need to be talking about it even more. Let's talk about what this Republican budget bill means for the climate, and by the way, your wallet too. While wildfires rage, heat domes expand, and floods destroy lives from Texas to Vermont, Republicans just passed a bill that guts funding for clean energy, hikes energy costs on working families, and showers billionaire donors with tax breaks. Instead of investing in affordable solar, wind, and grid modernization, this bill doubles down on fossil fuel subsidies and gives subsidies to coal. It slashes programs that help low-income families weatherize their homes and pay utility bills, just as extreme heat is driving record demand for electricity. So who benefits? Big oil, wealthy donors. Who pays? You, me, higher electric bills, higher gas prices, higher costs to breathe clean air and drink safe water. This bill also cuts Medicaid and food assistance, forcing families to choose between medical care, groceries, or keeping the AC on in a heat wave, all to fund luxury tax cuts for the richest people in America. This is a time where we need to be clear. This is not just bad policy, it is climate denial dressed up as a budget. Republicans are raising costs on working Americans at the worst possible time, and the American people know it. So we have to stay united and we have to stay loud. So I want to encourage you all to leave your comments about this on this video and make your voices heard. We're going to stay laser focused on these climate issues, and I want to thank you for joining us, because if we don't stop them, we are not just losing money, we are losing our future. Okay, back to you, Ben.
Right. Now you fast forward a little bit, and, Melania and Donald, they'd hang out a lot with Ghislaine and Epstein. Also, you can see here that Melania and Donald, they would hang out with. That's Karen McDougal right there, who Donald Trump eventually cheated on Melania with right after Melania gave birth to Barron. You can see right there. But then Melania got her family citizenship. Melania Trump used a legal pathway that her husband and his top advisors has repeatedly disparaged as chain migration, the right of U.S. citizens to bring their parents to the United States. Federal law since 1965 has said U.S. citizens may apply to bring minor children and parents to join them in the United States without having to wait a long time for a visa. Citizens may sponsor siblings and adult children, but they typically wait longer for visas. Okay, so Melania gets the expedited path based on an Einstein visa after meeting Donald Trump at the KitKat Club. Then she brings in her family, and now Donald Trump's against all of those same policies. Now, Melania is no innocent person in all of this either. Melania, after Donald Trump was caught on video bragging about sexually assaulting women and grabbing women by their genitals. And he says, because if you're rich, they let you do it. She said that's locker room talk and that she was okay with it. Here, play this clip.
He described it as locker room talk. To you, I mean, you sort of alluded to that as well. Is that what it is to you, just locker room talk?
Yeah, it's kind of two teenage boys. Actually, they should behave better, right?
He was 59.
Correct. And sometimes I said, I have two boys at home. I have my young son and I have my husband. So, but I know how some men talk, and that's how I saw it, yes.
And then she was also one of the biggest spreaders of the birther conspiracies against former President Obama. She was used by Donald Trump frequently to go and attack Obama. Here, play this clip.
But what is this with the birth certificate obsession? Did he ask to see yours when you met him?
I needed to put mine anyway, because if you want to become an American citizen, you need to put the birth certificate.
Right.
I have a birth certificate from Slovenia. And do you want to see President Obama birth certificate or not?
I've seen it. It's
not a birth certificate.
Well, it's a certificate of live birth,
Right,
which they give. But Melania, if he insists on what he's saying, then no one in Hawaii can ever run for president, because they all get the same live birth certificate.
Well, but they need to have...
Midler is finished, for example.
They need to have, and in one way, it will be very easy if President Obama just show it. And because it's not only Donald who wants to see it. It's American people who voted for him and who didn't vote for him. They want to see that.
But it's on display in Chicago. We've seen it on the internet. We've seen it. It's not the same as yours, but it's a certificate of live birth.
Well, we feel it's different than, birth certificate.
All right. Well, I think you should give it up at this point.
Well, it's not him that it's bringing up. It's the media all the time.
Now, I had the opportunity to speak with Melania's former top advisor and former best friend, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff. And here's what she told me went down when Melania saw Stormy Daniels in Vogue. Here, play this clip. Around the time when you released the best-selling book, Melania and Me, there was that audio recording where Melania was livid that Stormy was going to be on the cover of Vogue or in Vogue. And she was calling her like a porn star hooker. And she was saying that to you, they're putting the porn star in the front, and this is so embarrassing. So she's always been humiliated by the Stormy ordeal. The fact that all of this testimony came out during the trial about what Donald was saying about her to Stormy, and perhaps even just the way that Stormy presented at trial, so professional, was a real kind of superstar and stood up there for herself. Do you think that added to the torment of Melania just knowing her?
I don't think Melania understands torment, as crass as that sounds and as sad as that sounds. I'll never forget, and I shared the audio with you. Melania she called me and she goes, Anna Winter, editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, put the porn hooker in Vogue. Now, I was like, what? She said she shot the porn hooker. And I didn't know what she was talking about. And you hear my reaction. And in that reaction, Melania's only concern was that Vogue was actually profiling Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels, not anything about the fact that the conversation in everyone's households was that Donald was having an affair with Stormy Daniels at the time. So it sort of shows you that she's able to compartmentalize so completely and so utterly uncaringly. There is no, she knows who she married and he knows who he married. She knows what she got into and she knows what she gets from this marriage. And that's more important than anything.
And of course, Melania would plagiarize Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention, literally Melania's speech during Trump's first Republican National Convention was literally copy and pasted of Michelle Obama's speech. Let's play it for you.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life.
For what you want in life.
That your word is
that
your
word is your bond. That you do what you say you're going to do.
Keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
You know, and now Melania pretty much just grifts. You know, she has her meme grift, which the meme coin crashed. She sells her book, Why Do I Stand Proudly Behind My Nude Modeling Work. Melania was with her personal stylist, Pierre Brallard, who's paid about $18,000 a month. Her stylist gets paid $18,000 a month from Trump's PAC. So Trump's supporters, who demanded the release of the Epstein files, who Donald Trump's calling stupid, they've funded the stylist for her. Oh, by the way, she's gotten paid $155,000 for doing speaking engagements for Donald Trump. You know, she shows up at a location, she sits at a location, she gets paid $155,000 for doing that. You know, and, you know, I guess one of the questions as well, she sells the Meta Rose, this photo, it's a digital photo that she sells for $150. I mean, I guess when Donald Trump calls his supporters stupid, I guess anybody buying a $150 digital image of a Meta Rose, I don't even know what that means is, you know, whatever. And now Russia's out there posting those photos of Melania's nudes that she got an Einstein visa for. So you could... That's how Donald met Melania. That's how they got married at the KitKat Club, right around all that time period. So tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.